Action.
You and Jesse had this beautiful life together, and then we all thought he was dead, and you found love again with a great guy. No matter what you do, you're gonna break somebody's heart.
That was incredibly verbose, but accurate.
To me, it seemed like the hardest part about pulling this off successfully was making sure the audience was empathetic towards all three characters. And so they didn't think that either Jesse or Sam or maybe Emma was a bit of a bad guy, as Sam alludes to at one point in the film. That's obviously something you were aware of. From that point, how did you go about achieving it?
I think that was probably my biggest concern from the very beginning. And I think a lot of it is answered with casting. We got very lucky with Philippa Sue because the role of Emma has to be sympathetic, and there's no villains in the movie. It's simply time. It's simply where we are at various places in our life with various people. And she really, as a wonderful actress, and that ability. She was almost in two different movies. She had to have her relationship with Luke Bracey. She had to have her relationship with Simu Liu, and she had to go through all the highs and lows of what that would mean, and including mourning in terms of Luke's character, and eventually the thought of mourning what it would mean with Simu's character. And every day we tried to find that balance, and you don't want to get maudlin, and you don't want to, there's a balancing act. And it's also, we would just ask ourselves on set, like, what do you do? And our joke around here was, everyone had a different theory, but my wife would always say, just to be clear, if Luke Bracey knocks on the door and says, honey, I'm home, there's probably some bags to pack. And I love Luke enough to know I've accepted that I'd have to leave at that point.
The family.
That's a family.
Family.
Hello?
Sweetheart, it's Jesse. I'm alive.
You can't wear that to reunite with your long-lost husband.
Moving on from the past.
I swore if I ever made it back to you, I'd tell you how sorry I was for leaving.
I'm engaged.
What?
It's actually a good question. My fellow Aussie, Luke Bracey, who's amazing, also ridiculously good looking. And so how long do you think you would have to be gone for before your wife would move on to Luke? Like, if you just gone to the shops to buy some milk, is that all it would take?
No, I think that's a great question that we were kind of exploring. The book that Taylor Jenkins Reid wrote gave us that sort of X amount of years where you could feel, well, we properly mourned. I tell the story that in real life, my dad died when I was 16. My mom did not date again. She was in her 40s. She did not go out on a date till she was 70. And that was this period of mourning for her that felt like now she was ready. And I think for everybody, it's very different. That thing you get out of a relationship and everyone wants to set you up on somebody. And are you ready to get back? Have you done enough work on yourself? Here in the movie, as in the book, her whole family is trying to get her to move forward. And by the time she has that chance and can be open for love again, hopefully we've given her enough reason to say, I loved my time with Jesse and now I'm open for my time with Sam. And then we drop a 300-pound anvil on her head and say, not so fast.
Yeah. And I think you're absolutely right. The casting is so important because, after the film starts with this sort of whirlwind romance between Jesse and Emma, they're traveling the world, they're having this incredible life together, and then that's snatched away in an instant. And then along comes Simu Liu's Sam, and it's hard for an audience to then go, okay, well, here's the new guy. Here's the new guy, especially when Jesse comes back into the picture. But Simu Liu is so fantastic. He's so likable, and he can play that vulnerability. And his sort of journey is about going beyond vulnerability to finding some sort of strength. Tell me about casting him, a Marvel superhero, maybe with some help from Sarah Finn.
We love Sarah Finn. She's the man for me back in the day, and she loved this book and loved this journey. We had always said we wanted to start with Emma, so when we got Philippa Sue, and we had got so many wonderful opportunities, talked to so many great actresses along the way, but immediately with her, then we kind of were like, all right, who would Sam be and who would Jesse be? And Shang-Chi had not come out yet. But I was a huge fan, remain a big fan of Kim's Convenience, and just thought it was fantastic. And so the fact that he had a superhero movie coming out, when I spoke to him, I believe he was in maybe the Dominican Republic filming his Mark Wahlberg movie, Arthur the Dog. And so it was this bad, connection with the internet wasn't working. But I just knew he was so charming and vulnerable. And that's what you need with that character. You need a guy that you're rooting for him. And yet, because he's a good guy he doesn't become creepy, he doesn't become a stalker. And what would you do if you all of a sudden someone's husband returned from the dead? You would hopefully be like, you probably have something to work out. I'm not even sure legally if we can get married. Like, there's so many of those things, and Simu was so gracious. And every day on set, Pippa, whether she was working with him or whether she was working with Luke, it's like she had two different stories that she needed to engage upon and had to be open to the love and the caring for those characters. So once we got him, I think I cast Luke maybe 2 weeks later, because talking to Luke was just like, yep, that is just like, he is exactly in my mind what Jesse should be.
I just want her to love me more than she loves him. That was wildly inappropriate. I'm gonna stop.
No, man, for God's sakes, just keep talking.
Just quietly, I think a lot of audience members will look at Luke Bracey in his full castaway beard and still think, I wouldn't kick him out of bed.
I think that was also the problem. He showed up and everybody was like, Luke is here. And the first thing I heard was, I had asked him, he had filmed a movie, and so there was a couple of months where he had already had the beard started, and I said, don't shave, we'll shoot that first. And that way we can shave you and don't deal with a fake beard. So when he showed up, he kept saying to me, oh, I look horrible. I've got, I look like Robinson Crusoe. And I'm like, don't worry. And then, of course, the buzz in the office when he landed was everyone's like, Luke's here. He looks phenomenal. And you were right. Shows up like this warrior, and is like the hair and everything's flowing. And then all you do is look at yourself in the mirror and think, I'm probably gonna just go drink a beer right now and probably that I am not Luke Bracey.
Yeah, question some of your life choices. I'm looking at that poster just over the back of your left shoulder there. She's the Man. And I've got colleagues at work who are a little bit younger than me who look at She's the Man as a very important part, a cultural artifact of their formative years, and feminist ideals in a mainstream movie, probably ahead of its time. Looking back on that project, which is so important to so many people, like, what do you remember about it?
I love everything you said. I had just done a movie at Sundance called Reefer Madness, the musical. And we had won all these awards and won Deauville Film Festival with so much. And everything I was being offered was, cocaine fiends and meth heads and every weird indie movie. And I read She's the Man. And I love Twelfth Night. I love Shakespeare. And I thought the writers were brilliant in how they approached it. And I didn't want to do another Reefer Madness. I wanted to do She's the Man. And it was almost just too perfect. We had this amazing cast. Everybody, we all were in Vancouver for several months. We ended up almost getting the wish list of everybody that I kind of was hoping to get. I had this weird image of David Cross as the principal, and he said yes. I wanted someone who would be the coach, and I was obsessed with Vinnie Jones, and everybody was like, Vinnie Jones is not doing a teen girl soccer movie. And then Vinnie was on set. But what I really do appreciate is how much the movie has held up, and the fact that I do think that I mean, it all stems from Shakespeare. He was dealing with gender tropes and with inequality, and the fact that it was now as it, I have a daughter, and I will forever want my daughter to believe that she can play against the boys. She can play it like there's no being a girl is her strength.
Oh, no.
Oh, right.
And so, and just from a fun standpoint, we just played every day on that set, and a lot of it was improvised and a lot of one-liners. And to this day, people will quote one-liners to me, and I still laugh, and I have to remember. And the cast is relatively all still very close. And anything we do creatively as storytellers, you just hope that it connects with somebody, because all the movies and television and theater and music and novels that connected with me, are my treasure trove. That's the stuff I remember. And I am so thankful for those. So I'm always excited when someone tells me a project of mine still holds up and still has fans like that.
Oh, it does indeed. And now let's go back to One True Love. I hope, if nothing else, it sparks conversations in relationships about how long you should wait after you go missing before moving on. So then you don't come back after 4 years and go, oh, hang on.
I think I think it's always that question to my wife of like, if I'm like 24 hours, like make some calls, fine. But if years have gone by, I'm okay. But I do want to make sure you've exhausted every possible. I don't want to be wandering lost in some cave thinking like, I'll be home soon, honey. And then show up and be like, who is this gentleman? Why is my daughter calling him Papa?
Andy, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for the chat today, and you take care.
Thanks, Ben, for everything. I really appreciate it.